Good morning, this is the Big JB for Morning Thunder. I am chewing gum, so I need to spit out. Because on a video or a presentation or when doing a message, it's always a little distracting to watch somebody chewing their cud while they're talking. That harkens back to my video on worry, by the way, just in case you didn't watch it. Today, I want to speak about things that we speak in anger. There was a situation that happened with my wife in regards to some things that happened on Wednesday night, and I'm not going to go into the details, but essentially somebody made how do I put this? It's not so much that they made some claims; they basically stated how my wife had behaved in a certain scenario. And the way that they described the behavior is not characteristic of her at all. In fact, I know that as a person, she just doesn't do the kind of things that this person was saying she did. So, effectively, there were words used like bullied. And my wife, she's not a bully, and she doesn't bully anybody. And so I think that this person perceived the situation through a lens of having been underappreciated or neglected or ignored or whatever in the past in similar circumstances. And so that's why she stated this. And there are a lot of other circumstances that go into it. So I'm not here trying to get people to rally to my wife's defense or anything like that. However, I always have my wife's back. And if she does something or says something that's wrong in a public setting, I will typically, unless we're joking around or there's freedom to do that, if there's a conflict or something, I will be on my wife's side and defend her because that's the way that I am. I think that's what a husband should do. And it's not to say that I will necessarily defend every word she does or every action that she makes. What I will do is make sure that there is nothing that is inappropriate that's said, damning, hurtful, anything like that. Now, privately, I may say to her, I think that you probably were out of line and you need to apologize for that, or give her some kind of encouragement on how she can make the situation better. But publicly, I always have her back. Again, that doesn't mean that I necessarily am saying, well, she's right and everything else. It just means you don't mess with my wife, you don't mess with my family, you don't mess with my friends. That's just the way that I am. So last night we're talking about the situation, and I kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent about the situation and said some things that I don't think were fair or appropriate. And I think that in the heat of the moment, and this is one of the downsides of being somebody who registers a lot of things with the heart and with feelings and emotion, is that when riled up or when experiencing a certain emotion, it tends to come out through the mouth, because I am a verbal processor, clearly, since I've been doing these almost every day for close to a year now. In October it'll be a year. But those things that are brought up, in the heart, the things that you feel end up coming out of the mouth. And so it is a lesson for a lot of people who are feelers and also verbal processors to make sure that you guard your mouth and be careful of the things that you say. I'm sure, in heated moments, I know that I've said things in heated moments that I've had to basically ask the person for forgiveness for, and myself in the context of of the spiritual side of me have had to deal with on that level as well. And I think that that's something that's very easy to do. And so this lady didn't hear me say what I said. The only people who heard it were me and my wife, potentially one of my kids. Kind of go off on a little tangent, and it was out of a place of feeling, I kind of took up the offense on behalf of my wife. Not that she needed somebody else to be offended or angry about those words, but she's my wife, and especially when I feel like an accusation is unfair, I'm gonna be at her defense. But still, I think I did not look at the situation from all angles. And this morning, I feel like, now that I've had some distance from it, which is always beneficial for those of you who are emotive types and also verbal processors. It's good to get some distance from it before you talk about it. Very difficult to do sometimes. Something that I have learned, not always the best at it. Sometimes I still shoot off an angry email or say things in the moment that I might have to deal with it later. But anyway, the lady who leveled these accusations against my wife she wasn't there. She didn't hear me say any of those things. So there was only a few people that heard it, but still they were spoken. They were still brought out into existence. And the truth of the matter is that words are powerful. Our words do have power to, they can build up or they can destroy. And I think that we have to be careful. And so I called my wife and told her that I was sorry, that I had, that I hadn't reined that in. And I've been, kind of dealing with that on my own this morning and kind of processing that. And that's part of what this video is getting that out there. And I think that it's important to make sure that we analyze those situations that we encounter in life from as many angles as possible. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I think that it's very easy to forget some of the things that go on. We don't know everything that goes on in a person's life. This lady who, I can't say that they're accusations, but basically reported this situation from her perspective. There's a lot of things in her big truck going by. Any day now, you can stop driving. There's a lot of things in this lady's perspective or her experience that may have happened. Same thing with my wife. There are a lot of factors that this woman didn't consider before she made, these statements or got offended about what happened or whatever. At the same time, in my response or even in my wife's response, there are a lot of things that we don't know that may be going on in her life. And it seems to me like she, like I said before, perceived those through a lens that we may not have been aware of, but something, or that we may not have been considering, but certainly something that we need to do now. So that's what is going to be happening. I'm interested to see. Now, I haven't entered into this conversation at all. So keep in mind, I'm only getting this information like secondhand. So my wife shared with me the email that was sent about this, not directly to her, but to somebody else. And I did not involve myself. It would have been very easy for me to send an email to the people who were involved that this event was reported to, and go off on a tangent. But that's not my place, and I won't do that. This is something that my wife needs to deal with. She needs to work out with the people in question and the people who are effectively leaders to get this taken care of. So if it needs to involve me at some point, then I will step in. But right now, it's not my business, other than the way that it impacts my wife and what I can do to support her. But I don't need to insert myself in the midst of this. That's a topic for another time, of course. But that's what I'm doing. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. I'm not gonna get involved unless I have to. So I would like to see it resolve well, and I think it will. I think the people in all the people involved are mature enough to see it go well. So that is it for today. I am gonna head inside and do my thing. So this has been the Big JB for Morning Thunder. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Don't forget, follow me on Twitter at @VoiceOfTheBigJB, and I'll see everybody tomorrow.